Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today I'm going to be talking about one of the most new and exciting builds in Dota. This is actually a build, funny enough, that has existed in the past, so I guess it's not exactly new, but it has shot up in popularity and now is one of the most popular heroes in all of Pro Dota. If you don't know what I'm talking about Mage Slayer Ember Spirit. This is a game I just played. The build that I go, it's Wand into phase boots. Sometimes people buy a Blightstone. I personally like buying Windlace every single game. From there, you just buy a Mage Slayer. Now, what is so good about this item on a hero like Ember Spirit? Well, there's a couple things to know. Number one, it's really cheap. Number two, it makes you really tanky with 25% magic resist. Then, the attack speed is great for pushing in waves and farming camps. It's just nice. Mana regen is good on a hero that needs mana, same thing for intelligence, but most importantly is the passive and the change to the passive. Mage Slayer no longer provides 20 damage, but it is changed out for a much better passive that does 20 damage per second for 6 seconds, so 120 damage. That's a lot, guys. Keep in mind, if you get this item early on into the game, every single time you hit someone, or in this case, sleight of fist them, you do 120 damage. That's a lot. It's a lot. And that works on creeps, so it helps you farm faster. And then everyone you hit with it, so everyone you sleight of fist, deals 40% less spell damage. Spell damage! So not just magic damage, all physical damage spells, and pure damage spells as well get affected by Mage Slayer. So every spell in the game, maybe there's some exceptions that I don't know, 40% damage reduction. You're going to see in some of these team fights where I'm going to be applying Mage Slayer to the enemy team, they just don't do enough damage. Also, one of the recent buffs they made to Ember Spirit is Searing Chains now hits 3 heroes instead of 2 heroes, which is actually really nice, right? It's a very notable change because in team fights, occasionally people will group up and hitting a 3-man chains is devastating. On top of that, in 7.35, they actually buffed the W, deal 15 extra damage to heroes, which is really not bad. They also buffed Flame Guard to be a 500 radius instead of 450. So this hero actually got a lot better in the 7.35 patch, and that helps it as well. Alright, before we get into the main part of the video, I do want to let you guys know that I'm not only posting videos here on YouTube, I also frequently post videos on the website. If you don't know what I'm talking about, almost every single day I'm posting a new video to the Game Leap website. We're going to teach you guys in depth about how to get to the next level. So if you want to become absolutely broken, click the link down below and sign up. So typically at level 1 you want to take Sleight of Fist, reason being you're going to use it to secure creeps and harass the opponent. I took Chains here because we wanted to get First Blood, so naturally dropping the Chains did get us the First Blood on the Clockwork there and got us a double kill for the Zeus. So of course I feel that is worth it, right? You don't want to have to skill Chains, but it's not a terrible laning ability, especially now that it hits 3 units, so you're likely to hit it onto heroes, not just creeps if you use it, and of course 2 kills is fantastic. From there, the laning is honestly pretty terrible. I'm not gonna lie, the abilities you get on this hero just aren't very good. Honestly, against most melee heroes you probably do fine, but against Clockwork and Luna, this is pretty terrible. And I will admit, I think there's quite a few matchups that are bad, like Drow can probably be really hard, Medusa sounds not great, the Monkey King doesn't sound good, Wind Ranger is probably really hard, so I will admit, I think there are bad matchups. That is the biggest weakness of playing this hero in a side lane. It can probably get bullied out by the ranged hero, so you gotta be very careful about those matchups when drafting. I even picked this in this game into the clock, and my thinking was, if I Mage Slayer this guy, he does no damage. Which is true! However, the laning stage is terrible! It's not good at all. It's okay. We buy an extra set of tangos. Honestly, I wish I didn't upgrade this wand. I wish I just rushed to Windlace so I could outrun the Clockwork. But you'll notice, yeah, I just don't trade that well. Hoodwink is also not the best trading hero. Like, Acorn Shot is good situationally, but I don't know, it just depends, right? We get some decent damage here, but this Luna hero is very difficult to trade with. So I wish I kind of played to manipulate the wave. I also wish I didn't ever get close to this guy. Like, for instance here, honestly, I don't know, I guess I just give up these creeps because Hoodwink's zoned out, and so I can't really walk up. and this can happen, right? This can happen. Your hero doesn't fight well one-on-one. Your stats are okay, they're alright, your base stats, they're not great though. You know, compared to a lot of strength offlaners, you have a far lower HP pool. Your armor is decent, but compared to a lot of agility heroes, it's not the best. I don't know, Ember, especially with Chains, just doesn't have much going for him early on. From there, basically all you do is click the W, not as much as you can save it. So the way in which you can use it optimally, like for instance there, that one wasn't great, is you can use it to harass and get a last hit at the same time. The other thing that you can do with Sleight of Fist to optimize damage in the laning stage is use it to disjoint auto attacks and basically mess with the opponent. after you auto attack, notice I hit, and then when she's about to go for an auto attack, right, mine's on cooldown and hers is coming up, I basically bridged the gap between my first and my second auto attack and cancel hers, right? So it's really optimal to do this. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get the next hit in. I ended up just getting my ass beat. Oh, this felt so bad. This matchup was so hard. From there, guys, you're going to max out your W and your Q. I do think that there is a world in which you can max E in some matchups, but it's going to be very hard to get active and help your team if you go WE on a side lane that isn't very leveled, right? Mid, it kind of makes more sense because you're going to get levels faster. And pushing out the mid wave quickly is, I would argue, more important than the side lanes. And so Flame Guard makes a lot more sense in that regard. In this game, I think it's my job. Like, I last picked, actually. My team picked really fast. And we don't really have an initiator. When Meepo's farming and previous to his items, we have no initiator. So I kind of take it upon myself to max chains, like really specifically max chains, and enable my team to get kills, of course, with like techies and the hoodwink nukes. From there, the reason why I go phase boots and windlays, well, phase boots is because it's good with sleight. Your hero also lacks a bit of armor, so it helps in that regard. And then I just think windlays is a broken item, guys. Like, I think movement speed at the end of the day is kind of just a broken thing to have. Like, the neutral items that give movement speed are always good. Like Light Collector, in my opinion, is just a broken item. It's completely broken in my eyes, in most games. So yeah, I buy this so that if I get ganked, I can get away. If I want to chase someone, I can chase them. It's just good. From there, in terms of neutral items, I would aim a mana item. You'll just have mana problems otherwise. You can buy the mana items that build in a Mage Slayer, and that helps, but it's often not enough. The other items, the item I would probably most strive for is Royal Jelly. It's going to be the most consistent HP and mana regen. I was hoping to get it, didn't get it this game. I also didn't get like Seeds of Serenity or Safety Bubble. But Royal Jelly is the best because a mix of HP and mana regen is optimal because you need both on this hero. You have no way to sustain besides going back to base with a Remnant plus TP. From there, you're basically just going to farm your lane. Don't worry about farming neutrals. Like, yes, you do want to side pull as much as you can so that you can farm these creeps because you can't farm them alone. I mean, I guess you can, but it's going to make you take a lot of damage. And with Arcane Ring, I feel terrible about doing that. I do not want to do that. And so essentially, I'm looking to just farm up lane creeps for as long as I can. I want to play for that level like 7, 8, 9 timing. I'm happy to sit in my lane. However, I will of course respond to dives. The hero's very good at cleaning up kills. So as you see in the clip here, I come in, chains on the clock, which is fine. Happy to just take the kill. He ends up hitting a nice hook shot out, but didn't work. And then anytime you're slight chaining someone and they're out of vision, the way you have to do it, guys, is you have to click the chains late. So usually you W and then Q, like instantly. When they're out of vision, you want to W, wait like 0.2 seconds, and then Q. It's really bizarre, but that's how it works. And so I do it delayed Q, because then basically, I don't know, the W gives Q vision or something. It's really weird. But we hit the chains, and that sets up for a bushwhack and another kill. So yeah, feeling pretty good. We've kind of recovered after a bad lane. My net worth is still horrible. But I'm just, honestly, I wasn't that concerned. I wasn't concerned because I understand the value of my hero. I know how good it is in the mid game that I'm just like, yeah, I just gotta have a decent game and I'll have plenty of impact. At this point, anytime you're laning against someone, you can just spam them with Sleight of Fist. I didn't feel like it would be that valuable against this Mars because he had a Vlad's. So I'm like, all right, whatever. It's not really going to do anything. But once again, I'm just happy to farm a lane and play towards this Mage Slayer timing. And of course, I'm going to continue to look for fights. For instance, a fight ends up happening at bottom here. And I TP in. Unfortunately, I end up feeding, which it is what it is. It looked like a better fight than it was. Unfortunately, my team, I think my Meepo got bursted. So it looked pretty good, ended up going poorly, but it's okay. All right, so upcoming here is the first fight in the game where we truly have our major impact. Now, keep in mind, my item build is a little bit off here. I forgot that I was supposed to buy Shivas after Mage Slayer. I literally just forgot. I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to buy a Maelstrom, right? No, you should buy Shivas next, because then you have a ton of HP, a ton of armor, a magic resist, so you're just unkillable, right? So yeah, in this clip here, gonna come in, slight chain, pretty standard. Zeus misses W, I'm lucky. We're gonna kite out, right? Don't want to chase too far. Defensive remnants are the name of the game. You don't play the remnant in almost ever. In fact, I'm going to skip this ability at level 12 and max out my E. Don't use the remnants aggressive unless you're finishing someone who's really low. Instead, chuck it defensive like I did here. This ability has a very bad cast point now. It got nerfed a bunch where it's like way slower. So having it out allows me to keep myself alive here. From there, we're going to Sleight of Fist the Mars, and that actually will buy some time for the Zeus. Unfortunately, it was not enough time, but it is what it is. Then we're going to go for a Slight Chain, which I thought would actually hit 3, unfortunately hit 2. We're going to apply the Mage Slayer and the chains to 3 heroes, chains on 2. And keep in mind, this is 120 magic damage to all 3 of the heroes, and every single one of these 3 heroes that is hit by the Mage Slayer is doing 40% less spell damage. That is pretty ridiculous, right? Because these heroes are completely reliant on their nukes. So let's say this Rubik throws out a Fade Bolt, right? Which he probably will. Or the Clockwork's Q is going, which it is. It's just doing 40% less damage. And of course, the duration of Mage Slayer is 6 seconds. You know what else is 6 seconds? The cooldown of Sleight of Fist. So as Luna TP's in here, unfortunately this slide didn't hit Rubik. I wish it did, because it would have applied another go of the Mage Slayer into him. But yeah, another W comes out, reducing the damage of the clock, keeping this guy low. We come in, come around, chains. I'm still pretty healthy on HP due to the wand. Another slight, another 120 damage onto the Luna, and none to the Doom. We're gonna come over, only remnanting aggressively because I know the fight is over at this point. And with another chains onto the Rubik, we get the kill, and the 4K lead for the enemy team is gone. And that is the power. A defensive playstyle, just spamming slight with the occasional chain is insane. It's pretty easy actually. It's a very uncomplicated version of Ember Spear. You don't commit with Flame Guard, you don't have to dodge shit with your W. You're just looking to hit as many heroes as possible with, most importantly, your slight, and then maybe a chain. Now in this clip here, I don't think the Mage Slayer actually ends up mattering too much, but I do want you guys to keep in mind how strong it can potentially be by looking at this. I think this fight was probably over. We caught out their 2 supports. The Doom's half HP. He has to Doom a Mega Meepo, which doesn't really feel that good most of the time. But like, keep it in mind, this Eclipse is doing 40% less damage. I know I'm repeating it, but like, maybe this Meepo dies. Maybe my tech use is a lot lower, right? This guy gets hit by like 6 beams. Now she does Manta off the Mage Slayer, so to be fair, the back end of the Eclipse did more damage, but the Mars Spear Arena combo did way less, and that's gonna keep my Meepo alive. Also, when the Meepo got doomed, I also applied it to the Doom. Now at this point of the game, when the Shiva says complete your hero's aids, I wanted an HP neutral item, but I didn't get one. I got really unlucky on the neutrals this game. No jelly and no HP neutral item at 2. But Grove Bow is really interesting. And so you'll notice in this clip here, at this point with the Grove Bow, when I slight this guy, it brings his magic resist down to 28%, so he actually lost to 9% magic resist, partially because he has Vambrace. So it brought him from 37 to 28. And then you have to keep in mind, when you apply Shivas, it's not magic resist reduction, it's spell amp on all of your teammates' spells. So it's just on this guy, right? Whenever he gets hit by a spell, when I apply Shivas to him, right, then he'll start taking the extra damage. So it's not like it just makes them have no magic resist, this combo, but it synergizes incredibly well nonetheless. And so yeah, we grief this Mars. The Zeus nukes do a ton of damage. Of course, Flame Guard, the Mage Slayer damage, the Searing Chains damage, maybe my ultimate also do damage as I chase onto this guy here, because once again, the fight looked pretty damn good at this point. Looked pretty good. And chase on, 2-man chains. Just so strong, so strong. And so basically, I think one of the benefits of this hero is because it buys arguably the most 2 broken items in the game. These are probably the 2 best items, and I would argue it is the best user of Mage Slayer in the game, probably by far, and then at least like top 5, top 10 of Shivas, because its ulti is great with Shivas, but most importantly, Sleight of Fist just applies Shivas. If you click Shivas and then slight the enemy, it uses it, right? So I kind of wish I did that here, as I probably should have clicked the Shivas while sliding here, just to kind of apply it immediately, kind of get that damage out, get that slow out, because I do it like this, but if I didn't have slide. So it did hit the Luna, it did hit the clock, which is good value. It's a two-man combo here, it feels pretty good. And then once again, team fight, just throw out the W on as many heroes as possible. Don't want to commit immediately. I will go for the outside targets, right? Now that I know that there's no Doom, I don't feel threatened by this guy, but a 4-man W, once again, just looking to reduce all that damage. The Doom, Scorched Earth, the Fade Bolts, the Rubik Nukes doing way less. They chase way too far here. I don't know what they were thinking. And I'm just Chad at this point, because at level 14, I took my 10 talent. So I skipped my 10 talent, just skilled up the Flame Guard until level 14. And then at level 10, I took Flame Guard Barrier Amount. And then it gives you 485 barrier. That's with the magic resist, right? So I'm like giga tanky, because I have 34 armor, magic resist, and a Flame Guard. So I basically don't take damage as the fight progresses here. We chase on, don't want to man fight the W'd Luna, right? Her shard is pretty good, but we can easily chip her out. Another slight. This Rubik has been poked down by Mage Slayer by some insane amount. Like, I'm not instantly bursting anyone, but the damage over time and the disruption that this hero provides in the current meta, you can just see it. It's just crazy stuff. And all right, at this point of the game, there's a whole plethora of items you can buy. Your shard is incredibly good at canceling blinks and getting more charges of ulti. You could buy BKB, you could buy Sanch and Kaya, you could buy Ags for more mobility. I personally like the idea of Maelstrom into Gleipnir because the Maelstrom damage gets amped by Shivas. It's really good wave clear with the W and the Mage Slayer. Especially with like Grove Bow, it does a lot of extra damage too. I just feel like there's a lot of synergy here. So like a Gleipnir into BKB, to me sounds like very, very clean scaling. Because also, you're kind of a right clicker, right? Mage Slayer gives attack speed, and so getting an item that uses the attack speed in Maelstrom takes more advantage of the attack speed from Mage Slayer. So quite a bit of synergy between these two items, I would say, as well. But yeah, game's gonna end about here as we're 24k ahead. My Meepo is way too farmed. Just another 2-man chain, canceling the Blink Daggers. And also, Mage Slayer is kind of a stupid item. Yeah, it cancels Blink, which is like insane, right? Like, this hero is just so disruptive. This Doom can't do anything. He can't blink. The Mage Slayer cancels Blink. It's so AIDS. It's so AIDS. I've played against this hero a bunch lately, and it just always feels, I'm like, no one is dying anytime it's around, especially like, I had a bad game. Keep in mind, everything I'm showing you, I'm not even showing you a Game Leap Classic. I'm having a bad game. And I'm cooking it up by just clicking W in the occasional chains and then not overcommitting, right? Defensive remnants, not running in like a psycho. And I'm owning. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and I'm out. Peace.
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the Game Leap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.